Like I think they're rough. They're very rough. Let me know in the chat, guys, when you guys can hear us if you're
I can
sticking
see a
around.
thing.
I
I
can
can.
also see a thing. Am I dropping
Oh,
frames? No, I'm not dropping frames. It's just potatoing. Okay, there it goes.
yeah, I can hear as well. So
Cool. Okay.
I guess we're back.
Yeah. So this is kind of a strange. I should add
You
a.
have. You're completely gone.
Am I completely gone? Hello. Hello. Can
You're
you guys hear
back.
me? If you can hear me, say Carrot Top is my homeboy in the chat. The usual saying. Um,
Why would anyone say Carrot Top is their homeboy?
what do you mean? Carrot Top is my homeboy.
He's not funny.
I, Carrot Top is really not funny. I'm not
He's
arguing that
very.
fact.
He's very unfunny.
Like Carrot Top is pretty bad out there. Like just wrong, right?
Anyways, topic
Rambling.
at hand. Shall we just dive right in?
So yeah, go ahead. I'll let you start it off while I'm. Um,
All right. We had the Q&A, and things we like. This is things we don't like.
yeah,
Welcome.
yeah. Welcome to the things we don't like. Uh, hosted by myself and Skorpion. It's taken us some time for us to actually. Sir is a big nerd. That is correct. It's taken some time for us to truly figure out how to get it into
Express
express our
our
thoughts.
frustration.
Frustration. He almost said hatred.
I
Um,
almost said hatred. I almost did.
um,
It's not truly hatred though, because it's still a game that I can enjoy. It's just over the past year and a half, it's become more difficult.
yes. And this is where we're going to get a lot more brutally honest. Is that what I want to say about some of the things?
That works.
Gunboon is angry. And
Unfiltered, uncensored.
unfiltered, uncensored. I should really be doing this on like my personal stream, but YOLO. Uh, Foxhole Game is now auto hosting you for up to 5 viewers. That's nice as we talk about their game. So uh, I should tell Matt to stop auto hosting us. No, but no. This is for the benefit of the game and benefit of the game, guys. Uh, Basically, some of the issues that we've been having, not just us and the community as a whole, right? Like a lot of this isn't really a player experience thing. It's more about a community thing, right? From the veteran standpoint, and of course, you guys aren't aren't here to voice your opinions, but of course, you have the chat that shows up on the screen. And so I could ignore it. Uh, um, Foxhole is not the game
That
that
we fell in love with.
we fell in love with, right? It's an entirely new beast now. It truly is. Uh,
It's like when you love a girl, you go through with it, you get married, and then you find out she's insane.
yeah,
Things have changed. I
it's
want
it's
a divorce.
yeah, it's like when she steals my spice cabinet. These
Ah.
jungles.
Oh, but one thought I do want to get off right off the bat is mines, the resource mines. I don't like them. I think it's just all I see it as is yeah, it's an alternative for people who don't want to go sit on scrap fields, but at the same time, it's a further automation of a system that's already beyond autonomized. It's not challenging to be logistics anymore. It's not in any way a challenge. The only challenge is waiting. The only challenge is patience.
Yeah.
And to me, the mines will only further aggravate that in that instead of picking up a hammer and actually collecting the fuel, the scrap
Our
for, I don't mean
relationships.
fuel literally, I mean the scrap for your machine, the fuel for your logistics machine. Now you just set a building on doing it for you. It's not a challenge.
Yeah. Um, uh, are you for the removal of mines? No, actually, I wouldn't say the mines are necessarily the problem. It's how they're implemented is a problem. Um, and
Yeah, I don't
Scorpion,
I don't see them as a problem. I don't see them as a problem inherently.
yeah,
It's just how they're being implemented.
yeah. So, honestly, it's yet another timer, and Mark is talking about removing timers. Um, yeah, no, there's no progression, no upgrades to logistics. There's no, um, there's nothing that has truly benefited logistics in any way, shape,
Arguably,
or
mines
form.
are a progression, but it's a one-stop shop.
But it's a minor progression, and even then, it doesn't save you any time. I was talking about this with KFC, right?
Hmm.
The and we actually did laps around to test the mines, and with the 13-minute respawn, you could still do laps and have you never had to stop and get out of your truck to do anything but pick up your order and put more fuel in and put another order in, right? You didn't have to stop and slap scrap. So maybe you saved, 2 minutes on your throughput, from scrapping. Um, and you didn't get, anything from it. And it actually is going to be a lot less now. So it's going to be a lot more reliable to do this. It's a replacement, right? It is a replacement for late game scrapping. When you don't need tech parts or you really want to double grind it, you can now. But it's not an upgrade because it's like a negligible amount of change, right? You can, like, I don't know the number of resources you can get from a single scrap field, but it's not like a significant increase, right, in throughput
Hmm.
until you start gaming it with multiple people, right? So if you have someone doing scrapping and that, you can effectively double it. But that still has, people scrapping, right? It's not an upgrade for every single person. It's an upgrade for whoever gets to the mines first. And you're trading the hammer hits, and of course it's a significant less, hammer hits because it's only like 20 fuel for, 400 or whatever, or 40 fuel for 400, whatever it was. Um, it's a bit rough. Um, if it's just not for everyone, right? Like a jackhammer would be an upgrade that I would love to see for everyone, right? A tangible upgrade. Um, but whereas the mines only benefits the person who gets to use them or wants to use them or can use them. Um, so I actually, if I had my way with the mines, they would become a passive trickle, a completely public passive trickle, right? For every X fuel, you would get so many per minute or so many per hour or whatever it happened to be, right? So you could just continuously stop by, pick up some scrap and go, right?
Hmm.
Um, like in my dream, and it'd be completely public because then you're continuously you can literally manage the throughput on a game design level, right? You can force it to be, it will never get any more extreme than what we want it to be. It can also be a nice boost because if someone hasn't picked up a mine in a long time, someone could walk up to it and go, "Hey, cool! There's 1,000 scrap in here." And maybe you could put an upper limit, right? Maybe you can't queue it up for more than 12 hours at a time. Um, well, then if and that's a good point, Dark Studio. But I mean, then would they be any more effective than slapping scrap, right? If you have a set rate, you're not inherently making it go any faster. You're just going to click on that window every so often, right? It's a bit weird. But really the issues that we have with logistics as a whole now is that it's not rewarding in any way, shape, or form anymore. to the veterans at least, right? I think new players have a lot easier time because they didn't have to transition. But I'm going to reuse that phrase that Skorpion said a while back.
I've edited it a few times.
Have you edited it a few times? Okay, well, it's basically that it's you're no longer a cog in a machine, right? It's you used to be chefs in the kitchen, all working towards a meal, or
like a make
dinner.
line.
Yeah. Whereas now you're putting things in a microwave, right? It's a timer. It's less rewarding.
The blueprints are just a frozen meal.
Blueprints are a frozen meal. Fucking A, that's great. Yeah, no, honestly, okay, so 5 fuel for 3 minutes of 100 scrap is the new rate, apparently, says Aquilius. That's not bad. I mean, 100 scrap, though, for having to make loops. Yeah.
Mine output is private, right?
Yes.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. But it goes public in 45 minutes. If you put in an order and you just piss off the corn plant, someone will get 100.
45 minutes is still a while, though.
It is. They actually increased it as well from the dev branch, from 30 to 45. Fun fact.
It shouldn't be private at all, honestly. It's just a resource. It's going to the team regardless. If people have a problem with that, I just chalk it up to distrust of other players that are outside of their clique, which is a social issue and not a game design issue.
This is why it's been a little rough from the, let's just say, Baslo puts a good plan there. Back in the QM days, you would act as a QM, you'd be part of a bigger machine, right? You get your commands. And the only commands you see now are for the delivery drivers, right? It's a lot more of an isolated experience. You don't work with anyone else. It's really interesting. Like even if BLD sets out and says, "Hey, we're going to do Logi," you don't actually do Logi as BLD. You do it as as Sir, as Skorpion, as Baslo. It's a very me thing now. It's no longer a team thing. Even though you're supporting something from the front line, it's like, well, if I wanted to get that experience, I could play any number of games, right? I think the roughest thing that I've ever had to do is for the first time I had to sit down and spend 2 days trying to figure out what game I wanted to play. Right? And that's actually what.
Spoiler alert: he's playing RuneScape now.
Spoiler alert: I'm playing freaking RuneScape because it was the only experience that I could ever relate Foxhole to. Right? Like the old school stapping and scrapping and being chill about it. In fact, I actually did both at the same time. I sat there and I was smithing, one tedious task. I very few mouse button clicks. And I was raising up my smithing level, simultaneously gathering scrap. And what was interesting, right? Sitting in that scrap field, I had the time to wait for the timer because that allowed me to, run to the bank, deposit my, my steel bars and run back, or my daggers, or whatever, my 5,000 daggers.
RuneScape things.
Just RuneScape
for clarification.
Things. Yeah. 2000. This is new school RuneScape 3, by the way. So, like in between this time, I'd be able to do that, but people were still driving up, getting out of their truck, and walking up to the same nodes I'm hitting in the scrap field, and just hitting them when I've been sitting there filling up boxes of scrap, right? Like it's so ingrained in people's mind to do things on their own now, and that you have to do it on your own. There is no other option, right?
I wouldn't say it's an individual thing because you're not an individual in doing it. It's a solitary thing in that you are one expendable person who just babysits the timer.
Yeah.
You're not an individual because you're not doing anything special. You're doing the same thing literally anyone else can do, which is why it's not challenging. But you're just babysitting timers. And
it's kind of like, that's a good point. Like it's like overcomplicating the QM, right? Like you got rid of every other single role and you said QM, not only do you have to babysit to this timer, but you have to babysit this timer and this timer and this timer and this timer. And you have to do fucking laps around the whole map as you do it, right? Like it's such an
So I
aggravating
guess,
thing. Like some people think that the driving is more like Duke was making the argument yesterday that driving is more engaging, right?
yeah,
And it's
honestly, it is.
but
Like,
it's busy work. It's holding W and spinning circles, right?
yeah, but that is all you have.
Yeah, but see, before the like, I don't think it's as engaging as scrapping used to be, right? Scrapping used to be very
Well, now
zen-like, but
driving
it
is
was
the only thing
engaging.
that's engaging to me. Before, definitely scrapping was engaging.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Actually, manning old school QMing, manning the factories when timers were relatively short and
Are you
everything
talking
was
pre crates or
um
or when crates were new, right? Like,
crates when crates were brand new. That was when it was a balance between the timers and the resource centric centralization and everything, and using factories for everything, but also engagement. It
yeah,
was a very nice balance right at that point, and everything went downhill from there.
yeah, and you know, I think with Duke put it a good way yesterday that we went from a very horizontal logistics workflow, right? Where you had your scrappers, you had your transport drivers, you had your QMs, you had everyone in between, you had your builders that could actually fit into the building role. You had all these things going on, people delivering tanks to the front, handing off hand tracks, doing whatever, getting fuel. All these different things were coming together into one culmination of getting stuff from the front lines, right? And it felt so good, right? To being able to work as a team and shoot the shit with people. With how solitary things are, it's not enjoyable. You don't get to talk to other people. You're just doing laps. Maybe you get to shoot the shit, but you're no longer shooting the shit about the same thing. You're not in a scrap. You're not with your friends. You're not with your clanmates. You're not with your brothers and sisters. You're driving around. You could be in an entirely different goddamn region. And it's so solitary. But it went from a horizontal system to a very vertical line, right? It's me. I log in. I go get some scrap. I take that scrap. I put some into blueprints, right? I take those blueprints and eventually I can go pick them up. Eventually, TM. Then from there, go and get more scrap to make a truck. I make that truck. I go back, get more scrap, refine that scrap, of course, as I've been doing. And then I go place some orders, right? And I get my truckload, and then I piss off, drive across the map, right? It doesn't touch another person the entire time. You may touch, some other people's work if you end up using someone else's beam mats, or if you use their blueprints that are stockpiled or for whatever reason. But ultimately, you don't ever touch anyone else, right? It doesn't see another hand. And you don't get to shake hands with anyone. You drive people, you wave and you go, oh hey, as you piss off across the map. It's such a vertical thing now, and it's a shame because my first days in Foxhole were spent doing those things that combat players, for instance, don't like to do necessarily, right? And Scorpion doesn't
Mhm.
even really like doing logistics that much. Like
I
it's
still
not,
like the old logistics systems better.
yeah.
Honestly, I'm to take a quick interlude. Tauzef points out something that brings to mind my favorite part of my favorite point in Foxhole Logistics was the days of it was back when campaign, so single map games, but
Yeah.
the days of turning the primary factories in the primary town into a drive-through and having rows of boxes sorted by type and having trucks
Oh,
coming in, dropping off
yeah.
stuff, picking up an order, driving out, and one to five people who all knew what they were doing and were on top of everything. They
Yeah.
were like the drive gear for an enormous war machine, and they were a fine-tuned machine of production. And it was both hive mind and several individuals at the same time, all working together, all filling the orders, all getting everything moving smoothly, and it was really engaging to be a part of that. And now you drive through an abandoned ghost town, put in an order, wait an hour, and come back.
Yeah, that's a good point. What was the there's a tale. Um, the B-24s, right? Um, the B-24 bombers back in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
You got into like an industrial period where the United States was able to produce one an hour.
The Ford factory.
Yeah, the Ford factory produced one bomber per hour, right? And that's like a culmination of every single piece going into that. You had the engines coming in, you had the assembly lines, and it was just maximum throughput. Oh, just get these, freaking bombers out there, right? Like one bomber an hour of output. Like, holy shit, right? And it felt right because people, it was a massive thing to the war machine. It was what led to the ramp up for D-Day. It was because it was just a massive ramp up for that month. We need to get all these bombers out for D-Day for a war effort, and they just ramped it up, and boom. And it had to be a team effort, right? It wasn't one guy, working on that bomber throughout the entire assembly line, right? It was just, a massive team effort, war machine, and that's that feel that we used to have with logistics.
Mm-hmm.
Cog in the machine, and it felt good. Sometimes things didn't go right. Sometimes you get trapped or you get ambushed or something, but it's okay. You could come back because you had your brothers and sisters to lean on. Now, if your truck gets fucked, you're like, okay, I guess I'm going to go back and put in some more blueprint orders. Or you log off. It's a rage. It's a very rage-inducing thing. You don't have the zen to offset it like you used to.
And
but
everything
like,
is so far out of reach. Like it's all accessible to the player, but it's so far out of reach. There's so much you have to do to get all, because everything is centered around one person, and it's a vertical line that ascends to the final product. If you want to change something on the front line, you have to go all the way back to home region and get started at the bottom of that vertical ascension.
yeah. Oh, that's a really good thing. Like if like someone goes, "Hey, I need grenades." We used to go, "Yeah, we have a barracks full of grenades for you." We have crates ready to go. "Hey, Johnny, take these grenades up to the front line, and I'll put in another order with the BMETs I have waiting for me, already right next to me as the QM." And you would send your driver, and he'd go, "Okay, I'm gonna go take these up there, and where is it going? Oh, it's going over here. Johnny 50 up there needs grenades." So he drove up there, cans him grenades, and boom, instant gratification, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like boom, it's done. You filled your order in. You're able to complete the need. You're filling needs. That is the biggest satisfying thing about it. Is there was a need. And you, as a group, or even as an individual, you fulfilled that need, right? And now we're taking the need out of it, or rather, we're transplanting that need and that burden from
You're not helping anyone. You're helping the idea of the team, which isn't instantly gratifying unless the reality of the team actually falls into what you think the idea of the team's going to need.
Yeah, it's that's true. Like like you as one individual only supplied your one area, right? It just happened to be, oh, my clan is over here, so I'm going to supply my fob and only my fob as one individual, right? You never got to touch anything else. Uh,
Meanwhile, with the five-man QN team, we had stuff going across the map like a spider web.
yeah, especially you get two guys in each the towns. This actually worked really well in Endless Shore, actually. Especially because you had stuff in different towns. You had to go pick up your spawn supply order, right? You had to go do this. You had to go to a different town to output spawn supplies or use the workshop or whatever the hell it was.
Driving
Um,
was driving was like a profession back then, though, because like they knew to do that. They knew to stop by the factories on their way to dropping
yeah,
off the
yeah.
instantly needed order.
Yeah, yeah, I have to wait 8 minutes for 40 spawn supplies. Your drivers were literally just taking extra B mats with them to put in orders, and it just worked, right? You had a flow of things, and now it's very knee jerk, right?
Hmm.
Um,
That brings up a point that people talk about efficiency a lot with the newer system, but I don't quantify efficiency as how straightforward the system is. I get that the newer system is a lot more straightforward. It's you do this to get this, then you do this to get this from that, then you do this to get this. You go down the line of factories. I get that it's straightforward, but that isn't efficiency in my mind. The efficiency to me is a combination of player cooperation and player gratification and the fulfilling of an actual need. Otherwise, it's just
yeah.
wasted
Well,
straightforwardness.
and the time it takes for you to fulfill that need, right? Like as an individual, Johnny needs grenades. I have to go make sure there's blueprints and hope to God there's blueprints. And I have to hope to God there's explosive materials. And then I have to go chase down, some B mats. I have to go put the order in, and then I have to go turn my ass around and go fulfill that one single need on like a knee jerk reaction, right? Um, the time to fulfilling that need as an individual, like sure, you fulfilled one need, but what about the other people that need grenades, or what about the fact you're depriving the next asshole who has to come up and try to use those emats to only figure out that there's none left, because you're no longer communicating as a team anymore. You're no longer communicating like clans were the best at this solely because they communicated. They had like a system, right? Fuck, we used Trello. Trello was a stupid ass system, but it worked, right? Like we didn't employ it like long term or anything like that. But it was actually kind of an interesting thing. Like we basically had virtual sticky notes, and unlike we used to literally write down what we needed, what needed to go where. You have a whiteboard. Tiberius has a legal pad, that he would use to keep track of shit. Who's doing what, and it fucking worked, right? You're able to keep track of
Clans
things.
dominated logic because they perfected the hive mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and people, the argument I keep on hearing is that well, the random player couldn't do that, or the random player couldn't.
We invited random players to help us all the time. Random
We,
players were our drivers 90% of the time.
yeah, we would go. Yeah, random players were the best sometimes. Like they were just reliable. They go, hey,
Most of the
yeah,
time.
cool. Well, yeah, it's most of the time, but like. But like the arguments I've heard, I every single argument I hear, I can go, well, that's not necessarily true, right? For instance, yesterday I heard the argument that it wasn't rewarding from a new player experience because most of the time when you joined a game, you were told, "Hey, what can I do?" You would go, "Okay, well, grab a hammer and go scrap." That's a surefire way of being effective. And some poor private would sit in the scrap field for the next eternity, not truly understanding what he could do. Well, that's a non-issue, right? That's not an issue, right? Because that's a community thing. You should tell them, hey, you could do this, or you could grab a rifle and go to the front line, or you could drive these things over there from me. Like hey, if you want to join in, it's cool. Like randoms were our bread and butter of new players, especially that wanted to do logistics. We were able to identify them and pull them into BLD. BLD grew because of new players, like 90% of the time.
I also disagree with like the mindset that making making the game less enjoyable for large groups is an acceptable side effect of making the game.
It's not appropriate trade-off. No.
It's not an appropriate trade-off at all because I mean, you gotta appease both. You can't just shit on large groups just because you want new players to be more involved.
Yeah. But even then, like some people were saying, well, the new system of scrapping allows for this, right? If you look at the changes between now and back when we had the old school version of scrapping, and for the people who are in the chat that don't know about this, most of you should know, you used to have a continuous respawn rate of scrap nodes, right? You could sit in one field with a couple friends and continuously clear that field out, and they would continuously to respawn, right? If you've played RuneScape, it's a lot like hitting that one node, or you go into those nodes and you hit one, the other one comes back, you hit that one, the other one comes back, you hit that one, and you could completely fill up boxes and never have to leave that scrap node if you're a scrapper. Now, that allowed you to have multiple people working on it, right, at the same time, without stepping over each other's feet, until the scrap nodes became like the last stand, and it was kind of a shit show because everyone was in them. But it was really just being able to continuously have a constant throughput, not a knee jerk of materials, right? But nothing stopped a player from doing exactly what they're doing now. And in fact, when someone comes online and goes, I need a truck, quite often they wouldn't even bother to go see if there's boxes of B mats anywhere. They would go get a hammer, go get 100 B mats, or they would grab from the scrap box that we provided, and they would go get their shit and make their truck and go do their thing. Nothing about the old system had any limitations to the new system, right? However, the new system has limitations against the old system. You can no longer sit in one scrap node and be relatively safe. You can no longer rely on your friends to do all this stuff. And the only changes are the blueprints, right? That's the only remaining change. That's not even an issue, because if you have a clan working on something or a group of people, you would continuously shit out blueprints, right? The only change that actually matters is the change to the scrap system right now, right? It's the only one that actually made a difference. And basically we would just have a blueprint QM. Or the QM would be able to do blueprints as well because they're right fucking there.
On the flip side, Zeph makes another good point. Blueprints, timers, everything have made things less accessible to new players because of the daunting nature of how long logistics takes now.
Yeah.
How unfriendly it is to drop in, drop out game styles.
It is. You have to rely on the asshole before you to put in blueprints. And then if you don't put in blueprints, but you use them, right? You don't put in an order, but you took those blueprints and you went to the front line. You're taking and not giving, right? And that puts a damper on it because the next person who logs in, especially a new player who wants to know how to do things, goes, "Oh, I have to wait so many hours for a tank blueprint." Right? Like they don't understand that there might already be blueprints around. But I have to continuously play this game from now, when I got off from school or work until the time I should be waking up for work or school in order to do one thing in the game as an individual, instead of relying on the fact that other people have already done that for you in the old system, right? Like it's no longer truly accessible. Yeah, that's a really good point. New players avoid it. Yeah, exactly. They don't fucking even do it. It's like, cool, skip a beat, right? And then they go piss off to the front line, and And instead of complaining about sitting in a scrap field for an hour, they go complain about running up to the front line and dying because they didn't know how to set their spawn. And then they have to go do that and repeat. Or like the average lifetime of a soldier was like 30 seconds, like all those usual complaints that we see on the Steam comments, right? Yeah, it's a shame because people try to defend the new player experience, but they're not new players. They're veterans. Stop trying to defend a new player experience when you'd have no idea what it feels like, right?
As a new player, I hopped into the game with a friend who shall remain unnamed at the time. Um, and we were dicking around. We ran around. We found a scrap field. We started hitting it with hammers because some guy was like, "Yeah, you should do that." So we hit it with hammers, and we got some scrap. We figured out the refineries pretty quickly. Made some BMATs. And then we also figured out the weapons factories. Like, we didn't need a blueprint because we were able to immediately and tangibly turn it into something. As a new player, it was easy. And then I ran across some clan who explained everything. He filled in the gaps, gave us a truck, told us where to get more trucks. We immediately got that truck stuck and ran off to die. But it was easier to jump into because there was a lot less waiting and a lot less intangible concepts to it.
Yeah, and that's
I didn't need a tutorial.
yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, you should be able to figure it out. But on top of that, you're able to get in the game, and now we've taken that new player experience away and slapped a $20 price tag on it, right? Like it's we're out of pre-alpha. You can stop fucking around if the systems aren't working. Now Zeph also says he disagrees with manual scrapping, saying that could be attained with a mine with regular scrap output. Hammering adds very little. While that's true, from a game standpoint, that it doesn't add anything. Like, you could, if you knew exactly what rate, if like the data of what rate of BMATs a team of scrappers could output, and you just translated that into a continuous draw from mines, you could do that. However, the reason
Removes the
why
playability.
it removes tangibility from your actions, right? Me going and hitting this is tangible, right? That's why Minecraft, RuneScape, Factorio, any other game that involves resource gathering, of that nature, it's fun. Farming simulator, for fuck's sake. People are willing to not even go work on a farm, right? They're willing to go sit in a virtual tractor and fucking drive in circles because it's tangible to them, right? Or people are willing to go dig thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of blocks since 2010 until now and make Menace Tirith, right? Out of fucking adult Legos on a computer. Because it's tangible, right? Minecraft would be nothing if it wasn't tangible. Scrapping is a tangible thing. RuneScape, even though it was one click and I just continuously hit it, hey, maybe that's what it needs to be. You bring back the old system and you make it so when you click on a scrap node, your dude just auto mines it until you have to click on the next scrap node, right? You take that little bit of a hold left click out of it, but it's still tangible, right? You could save your carpal tunnel or your whatever finger disease you have going on. Euro truck driving simulator with some shooting. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's yeah. Yeah, good point. America truck simulator. So, like, and that's all in one spectrum. We've been rambling for like however long, for 40 minutes, and we haven't really touched combat issues from a veteran standpoint.
Oh
And
boy.
this is where Scorpion gets like just a massive rager. And it's not even a good rager. It's like it's an angry rager, right? It's you know reminding myself that I'm being hosted by Foxhole Game. So Scorpion likes to point out that he doesn't like One World.
Um, I like it as a concept. I don't like it as an implementation. Uh,
I
One
think
World
he's
to
wrong,
me,
by the way.
One World to me as a concept, as what it sounds like, sounds cool. It sounds cool, but as it's implemented, with the player base size in mind, with all the factors that Foxhole brings with it, with how Logi works in its current state, with all of the little details that very much do affect how the game plays on the large scale, it feels too large. It feels like front lines don't matter because there's always more front line. And as a result, your individual actions on that front line don't matter. Nothing you do matters. Your life is meaningless as a combat soldier. So, honestly, like, yeah, I could get together 5 guys with a bunch of HE, smash through something, and then lose the log off battle. Um, I could smash through an entire region. I could spend 15 hours with 20 guys and smash an entire region, build up defenses, get it locked down. We'd lose the other 2 regions on the other side. And then when we went to fight there, the region that we just defended would decay to death. It's just,
Oh,
it's too, to
see,
me, with decay and the size of battles, with the relatively small size of the player base all in mind, One World feels too large to be stable. It's an unstable, workable combat. It does work as a tangible, persistent war, but it's not like it's
you
not
know,
gratifying for
you
me
know.
to
Now,
fight.
now, here's the thing: is my argument to not even to counter Scorpions on that, but to kind of go, well, this is why. Um, it the One World itself is not the issue, right? It's a culmination
Absolutely
of
not.
issues. One World was
The little
fucking
details.
fantastic. Like back in the OG Conquest test during pre-alpha where you had like the 4 regions. My fucking god, it was the future, right? It was so fucking satisfying, so fucking good. A lot of the things that have been implemented into the game do not take the big picture into account. And when I say that, I'm saying things like
Exactly.
decay, right? Decay does not take the big picture into account, or not being able to build on beaches doesn't take the big picture into account. It was a knee-jerk change to a small issue, right? Farinac Coast, for instance, right? The issue was that we just got landing APCs. We just had this new amphibious map update, and Farinac Coast. Let's go bash our fucking heads against the enemy's beaches because they have 40 fucking AT turrets and pillboxes against their entire beachfront, right? And it was hard. And I loved it. I loved it. My first beach landing that I planned was successful. The only casualty from the entire beach landing was Tiberius when he glitched out the back of the APC. Because we planned it right, right? Like literally, we had a plan. I scouted it out. I said, okay, I want smoke grenades. We're going to hit the beach. We're going to smoke the shit out of it, and then once that shit clears, we're going to use the APCs that we just bailed out of as cover, temporary cover, while we throw HEs and against ATs and stuff. This is when AT guns actually target people and stuff. But you use them as those tools to brute force your way up there. We cleared it out. We built a fob, and it was so fucking satisfying. Like, it was so good, and it was like, yo, everyone, that's complaining about this, you're wrong. It's easy as shit if you take the time and the thought to actually carry something out. But the knee jerk reaction was, well, beach landings are too hard, so you can't build on beaches anymore. Like, okay, fine. But how do you defend then? And then it became a game of sneak onto the enemy's beach and sneak around their shit, go steal a CV, and build a sneaky fob somewhere. It was no longer an actual combat thing. It was a spec ops thing, right? It was no longer the beaches of Normandy. It was a French resistance. And it was just a weird change. But that's because we didn't have gunboats, right? In the big picture, gunboats the pure function of gunboats was to clear landings, right? They're not really supposed to be town hall snipers or anything like that. They're supposed to clear beaches. Now that we have those things, why can't we give us back building on beaches, right? Or in a limited fashion, a good trade off would be the ability to put like lightweight things there, like maybe a foxhole because it's literally just a hole. Maybe a pillbox, but maybe limit it to like a tier 1 pillbox, make it so you can't upgrade if you're within the beach zone, or something like that. Or the other thing that happened when they removed building on beaches, it became too hard to do a beach landing because you couldn't defend, you couldn't land and put down foxholes, right? That was step 2. After we clear out that area, we put down foxholes so you could sit in it and not get shot, right? They come and try to give us reactionary force, and you were in a foxhole. They couldn't do shit unless they actually tried, right? They were too slow. So we were able to get in a CV, and we actually found a CV, because this is when you couldn't dock everywhere with the barge. But we found a CV and we built a fob on the beach, right? You cannot build fobs on the beach right now, right? Which means you can't spawn on the beach, which means that when you do your beach landing, you have to push far enough in within the first wave in order to put down a fob, which means that you're running into enemy defenses anyways, because you have to get past them to put a fob down. So it became a non-issue, right? Building on beaches was a non-issue once you had gunboats, because those were there to clear them out or to support, naval invasions. Now we have cargo ships, which are purposely built for naval invasions. You take that son of a bitch, you ram it up against there, but cargo ships are really just a knee-jerk reaction to not being able to build on beaches. Right? Like it was a chain reaction of knee-jerk reactions. You went from it's too hard, so take away beach building, and then we added in things to do with the beach landings, and then they go, we can't build on the beach. Beach landings are too hard. So then you give us a fucking cargo ship. Okay, cool. But now we can't defend the cargo ship because they're fucking flaky as shit. Some asshole with a fucking tank or an AT rifle, can sit there and go, aha. They're going to try to boat that thing up here. By the time they land, I'm just going to sit here and camp them. Too bad they can't put down any defenses. Right? So it's a bunch of knee-jerk reactions. Now, on top of that, I could see where decay, is nice, right? Decay makes sense. It made sense back then because, in fact, decay was, you didn't notice decay because the wars didn't last so long, right? But on top of that, defenses weren't flaky as shit. They didn't decay in no time because, they had more health, right? But we get too much spam of defense spam. That's like, well, that's a non-issue, right? Because building, like, the game is designed around defenses, around building your area, making a persistent war. It's designed around it. It's literally the game. It's a non-issue. They already gave us better tools to deal with it, right? Like, things are better at dealing with it now. Give us back, our defenses that stuck around. It's not a technical issue, right? It's not about the server stability or the net code, right? It never was an issue in the first place. and it's not going to be an issue now. They could ramp up these servers so hard and not break a sweat. Well, maybe an Umbral because it's fucking tree spam. But decay was a knee-jerk reaction, or sorry, not decay. Tunnel networks knee-jerk reaction to defense spam, right? So, well, okay, now my defense spam has to be in a straight line, you know. But now that we've taken and gone to this new system of shitty defenses, and now that we've taken and made the world one world, right? Decay is the only enemy. I could kill Warrens all day, but that's not the enemy. Decay is. 82 decay, right? That Scorpion, that feeling that you keep on getting about the world being too big wasn't an issue when you could defend it.
Yes. It's not that the world is too big, period. It's that the world is too big for how the game currently works. It's not stabilized.
Yeah. I can't leave one front unattended, right? And now we have fucking water travel along both fucking flanks so they can come and shit on us, from the side. But we can't build beach defenses. Like they're going to hit a region that has 5 people in it. Right? Because everyone's on the front line. And hey, there's no one over here. So there's no one to respond to the radio towers. So the massive wave of people that just showed up with their boats, we can't defend against them until they get on land. And by that point, it's too late because defenses are squish. You could take them out with a rifle now. You can take them out with a pistol. You could pistol rush a foxhole now. Come on. Actually, Basil, everywhere is not a front anymore because everything is.
There was a ghost town.
It's everywhere is a ghost town. The front, there is no front. Actually, I'll say that there is no front. Right? There's only tiny little battles, happening here and there. Could be around a town. Could be around. It could be around some structure, or it could be around some scrap nodes or some bridge, right? But it's all about towns and fobs now. You don't ever get into the wild except for people sneaking on by because you don't have any defenses there, and you can't trust those defenses to be there in 3 days. Right? 3 days for something to go away. In a war that's persistent, that goes on for 2 weeks. And maybe in those 2 weeks, I'll be able to pick up my blueprints. Yeah. So, yeah, the issue is that now that you've taken away defense spam or limited it to the point where it's no longer worth building, except where you happen to be, you basically made it so you can't supplement your soldiers in a limited in a world that has a limited number of slots. You cannot supplement your soldiers in any way. You have to spread your guys thin, which means if you have to react to something, you're taking away from some other front. And it sucks so hard, right? And to make defense spam worse, then it adds FOB spam. The last war, I don't know if you guys know this, the last war, the wardens in their home regions had 1 FOB per grid square in the very center. They made a fucking grid of FOBs because they could. Of course, they decayed probably, but yeah. And I'm going to go read Zeph's comment now. I've dried my mouth out and I'm too lazy to go get up to get a drink of water.
His comment was that the root cause is low player base and not low player base that we substitute defenses for rather than decay and everything else. Decay and everything else merely being symptoms of the low player base.
I disagree with that because the game originally had a finite amount of player base, right? It was
But it also had
a
less ground to cover.
yeah, but it's the same thing in like Command and Conquer, right? You build your defenses so that you could send your troops to go attack. That's pretty simple, you know. They're related, but the yeah, I mean the small number of players isn't the root cause. It's the fact that there's a queue system and everyone wants to be on the front line because there's nothing else to do except for getting your truck and drive in circles, right?
Um, I
Like
wonder if so. A lot of people have said Planet Side 2 region locks. Because in Planet Side 2, when a region is fully captured, it locks down until the adjacent region has been, overturned by the enemy. Or something like that. I don't play a whole lot of Planet Side 2. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my understanding of the system, is that the region is locked if it's irrelevant.
mm,
If What if you had maybe not outright locking, but decay turned off on regions that weren't contested?
that's something that I've brought up a lot. Like if there isn't actually any fighting going on like around my foxholes in my home region, why are they going away? There's 5 people on that region, 0 enemies, maybe 1 enemy, but there's 6 people on there. What's decaying my foxhole? What's decaying my fucking concrete structure that I built? Right? Is it wind? Yeah, are the leaves in Umbral falling on them? Like, holy shit, I need to get a new contractor because 3 fucking days. Holy shit. You know? I don't know if you guys saw um the 33 tank kill that myself and Goon did, right? The 33 tank kill where it was literally just that. The only reason why it was possible in the first place was because of decay. I was able to walk by completely decayed, highest tier bunkers and walls and just go fuck around with a wrench because of decay. Because they didn't have people back there to react to it. And it took, by the time they reacted, right, the damage was done. Right? 33 tank kills. And we ravaged around their homelands with the remaining 2 tanks until the group of players could bash their heads against us with the limited number of RPGs they had, because all of the AT guns that we encountered were decayed so much that we sneezed on them and they went away.
Sir, you're FOD admin, so you talk to the devs more than you should. You know
Yeah.
the server stuff. You're an IT professional.
Yeah.
Does decay genuinely serve to reduce server stress?
I mean,
Is it necessary?
From a technical standpoint, yes, it does do. It has an effect, right? I mean, anything has an effect.
But is it necessary?
It's not necessary, right? The server hardware that they're using can withstand a lot more. It's truly about the netcode, right? It's about Johnny with a low end PC who's having issues playing the game because there's too much going on. So it's like a sync thing, right? But back in the old day, that wasn't like a tangible issue, right? Cookie had Potato 5000, and he was playing.
He played at 15 FPS.
15 FPS, but goddamn it, he was playing. But he had a worse computer than even like a normal person had, right?
And that was when there was a foxhole every 5 feet.
Yeah, a foxhole every 5 feet. Constant explosions and gunfire going off at all times. It's a netcode thing, right? It's about the ability of the server and the client to sync correctly and display on your screen. But even now, low end PCs can handle it. Your $400 fucking Walmart special laptop can play Foxhole if you turn it on. Maybe the integrated graphics aren't the best, but like the old school integrated graphics, yeah, it errors out. like the new HD whatever the fuck integrated graphics actually can play voxel, hilariously enough. Shit, there was a time where when I moved, or I was, or when I moved my office and stuff around, and I was getting it all set up, I was playing on a graphics card that wasn't designed for it, right? A really shit graphics card for the longest time because I hadn't set up my editing rig or anything like that, and I even right now I don't typically play on my main machine. I play on a 1050 Ti most of the time, because my main computer is doing something else, you know. So it's it's not really a client side. The foxhole spam, the defense spam was a player perceptive thing, right? But it's all a culmination of knee jerk reactions. You know, you can make the defenses weak, or you can make them decay, or you can make them have low tier, beginner options, right? But you can't do all of it. Doing it all just stacks on the issue of making having no defenses, right? It's a compounded issue now of knee-jerk reactions. Things must come to a close. This is how it's meaningful when structures and port bases can remain invulnerable. See, now, I don't think the port-based vulnerability is a true issue, right? Because I mean, it is kind of an issue because it's a knee-jerk reaction, in itself. But it is artificial, but I don't think it's really the true issue. The only reason why they need to be around though is because you can, you know, run across the map in the first hour and go kill them. Right? If you get a bike rush going on, you can go kill the enemy shit in the first hour. And then you're done. There's no more game, no more war. No, the 2 week war became a 2 hour war. Actually, that's a cool idea there, Falstaff. Yeah, there was one test one World Conquest test back in pre-alpha that I really loved, because we had the issue. It was only 2x2 maps, and in the testing then, but there was the issue of the early rush, right? They added a system that made it so for the first 2 hours of the game, people couldn't enter that region, right? And into the home region, because you had like one specific home region. It was corner to corner combat. It was like, yeah, there was a radius that started from like the hometown, right? And until that radius hit like the walls completely and encompassed the map, the enemy couldn't enter the region at all, right? Which gave you time to prepare, right? A warm-up period, time to get stuff done, right? And it was so perfect. It was amazing because it was no extremely high stress. They could still sneak in after those 2 hours, but with a little bit of defenses there to meet them. The focus was on the other regions where it should be. It was in the middle regions, where the combat should be. It wasn't a rush all the way to, like right now, Umbral Wildwood once again has fallen to the Wardens in the first 12 hours of the game. That shouldn't be possible. That honestly should not be possible. Now I could see if like Deadlands or the middle regions fell completely in 12 hours. That would be, palatable. But to have like that huge of a hub set right off the bat was a pain in the ass. But it was very satisfying to be able to prepare and build and rely on the defenses that you had. Now you have port bases that you could sit inside and be somewhat protected until they get something long range enough to shit on you and destroy your structures. Or the gates glitch out and the defenses are weak, so they just walk in anyways and spawn camp you. Because testing doesn't thing. But it's a knee-jerk reaction, right? Port bases aren't even liked by the devs necessarily, right? And I think a lot of stuff from the stream that we just had, shows that they are trying to take people away from it. I could probably read between the lines and say, yeah, they're trying to make like a logistics centered area, like a Logi Mecca type of thing, to kind of shift people
No
away from the port
religion,
base.
re.
Yeah. Um, but like, shift people away from the port base. And I think that's cool. I think it's cool. But the port bases there are there as a knee-jerk reaction to being hit too hard in the beginning. Like, okay, give us defenses and give us the ability to defend ourselves in the beginning. Make it so in order for them to get that far in, they have to have established, a fob within X meters of that area or something. I don't know. Some fictional way of handling it. But it's my complaint that the big picture isn't being seen, and or it's either a big picture or knee-jerk reactions at the cost of dedicated players, right? Um, like the logistics players, logistics clans, or clans, or Knights Cloud, or Grom Hellscream, all these individuals that put work in as a team, even though they're not in a clan. Afian and Toby, Prince and them, they weren't in a clan for the entire time. They were acting as individuals, and they were doing Logi just fine, right? But they were also working with a team of other people, other randoms, other clans, all coming together to get shit done, and it was satisfying as shit, right?
There was one absolute mad lad who, like, leagues ahead of anybody else, he was the random whisperer. He was a random himself, but he was able to organize randoms in a way I saw that raw strength only once.
Are we talking Clues? No, we're not talking Clues.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't remember his name, but he alone proved to me that randoms can be effective in the old system.
Edge was a random brigade, right? It was literally not a clan for the longest time. It was randoms that followed Casper as he yelled at him. You get one person to lead him and they fucking band together. But even then, when you had the random QM and the random driver and the random scrappers all coming together, no one's giving orders and no one's saying, hey, I want you to do this. They're going, hey, there's a need I need to fill. Can you run these up there? Yeah, okay, yeah, cool. As a please and thank you, right? It was teamwork.
Another honorable mention, another for the Random Whisperer Award, Scrotus.
Scrotus, yeah. Especially,
he was a legendary combat commander.
Scrotus.
I believe he still plays.
Yeah. Scrotus. I can't remember what. Oh, he hasn't said anything recently. I had to go look. Scrotus was a good lad, especially on the logistics side. But
his combat leading skills were legendary.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
Hans, you got to remember, neither of us have ever actually played Warden.
That's true.
Ever.
I have never sat down and played Warden. From the day I logged in
Not
for
once.
the first time, I have been.
I logged in Colonial the first time because I wanted to look more like Allied Army instead of silly Frenchmen. So,
if the option was more German style, you would have picked that, right?
Probably. If the Wardens had stall helms and field jackets, I probably would have picked them. I'm not gonna lie.
But even then, well, no, and he says Kali bias. I said Casper, right? Casper's randoms was literally a phrase, right? FOE operates on the principle of randoms, right?
Mm-hmm.
22 FA are really good with getting rambles to work together. 27th also decent random wrestling. SOMs, Swords of Morrow, or whatever the hell it was. Now Lurkus's clan was built around, you know, more as individuals coming together, and of course it became a clan very easily.
The syndication of randoms.
Nice. I see what you did there. 10 CCE started as randoms. Not many people know this. I was 10 CCE back in the day. Like first off, I joined this shitty little clan called Bad,
flock.
but huh?
BLD's first flock was BLD's like old guard is comprised about 50-50 of a bunch of ex-10cc people and a trove of randoms that just liked what they were doing.
Yeah.
I was one of those randoms.
That is the essence of BLD. Like-minded people. Literally one of our sayings, right? Like-minded people. But it was 10cc was literally just a Discord channel. It was literally just called Colonial. And Alex, the Mad Lad, would invite Colonials.
We need a new name for our grand communication. Let's just call it Colonial.
Yeah. Well, no, it was basically because there was an issue with spies and stuff on FOD, and FOD was kind of shit because everyone was talking at the same time in one channel. So we made a Discord
you mean
server.
FOD now?
Well, yeah, but no, it was like less people on FOD. Like now there's less people on FOD because there's other places to be, right? Mm-hmm. But we basically took all the Colonials off of FOD and put them into a server. And fun fact, the BLD server is actually older than the 10cce server because I was actually going to start a clan. I was going to call it 22 Bravo, right? Or no, 12B, which is the
12 Bravo.
12 Bravo.
The MOS for combat engineers for the army.
Yeah, it literally is. Because I wanted back then that was what you did, right? You picked a generic thing.
Stupid military designation.
Yeah. That was what you did. And he said, "Hey, I got a server," and we all started playing over there, right? But some of the people joined the BLD server because Alex wasn't always online to hand out the Colonial role, so people couldn't get in. So I made it okay. I can make another server. A BLT sounds fucking fantastic, actually, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Like I think I've kicked my burrito craving. I've been having.
I've muted a couple times to eat Chick-fil-A because you've been talking for hours.
Yeah.
Not literally hours, but like an hour.
Yeah, I mean, but see, this is the thing. We've been doing this like on and off for many a night.
We have been pinging our ideas off each other multiple times, and we're basically just all in all. We like Foxhole as a game. We definitely like.
I love Foxhole.
We definitely like Foxhole.
I love the community.
It's just, the community is great. It's just the way it plays has changed. It's like a car out of alignment. It doesn't drive well anymore.
I like that. I
am good with metaphors, honestly.
Ooh, it's going from the 2008 or 2009 or whatever Spec B Subarus to whatever new Subaru body style we have now.
The Ford Cruise with a misfire.
It's a Ford Cruise. Yeah, it's basically like the new Subarus with its awkward front because we have to adhere to some weird laws about body ratio and engine placement or some other standards that kill my rally car heaven. Yeah, no, it truly is. It's a different game. Combat hasn't changed that much, except that it's easier. It's straightforward. It all lies in the tactics and strategy, right? The only reason why I was able to go kill those 33 tanks is because I had binos. I had two. I had binos. I had 2 smoke grenades, and I made sure I wasn't over encumbered, and I just ran past a couple defenses and smoked through one other defense and went, holy crap, there's 33 tanks here. I wonder what I can do with this information, right? That same day, coming off of that success, myself and Afian grabbed our binos, and I taught him, what to look for when doing a scouting mission behind the lines, like, hey, I could see that I could path through here with no problem. So a plan hatched to simultaneously take down 3 Warden town halls at the same time, and they just went out. The plan hatched, the plan came through with some randoms, mind you, part of that thing. 3 teams set off 3 simultaneous explosions on those town halls and successfully killed 3 Warden town halls. Just straight up, boom. Wardens have lost this town. Wardens have lost this town. Wardens have lost this town. Right? Again, that was only possible because of decay. But it's intel gathering and knowing what to use with it, right? The game itself is straightforward. You go and fucking point and shoot. The only thing is logistics is no longer straightforward, or it's no longer accessible to the new players or the random players. It's overly accessible as an individual to do everything, but it's no longer accessible to get everything done that you need to get done, or for new players to understand it or do it, carry it out. So I love Foxhole. I wouldn't be admin of a 52.6 thousand person server for nothing, right? I wouldn't run all of these other things that I run, right? Like all of the Foxhole related projects I have going on. Like, the more I look at it, the more of a fucking mad lad I am. I run a clan of 180 people. Well, 18 when they're active, but a clan of 180 people, right? I admin the FOD. I run 2 different bots to support FOD, and I'm developing another bot to make use of the War API, and I run Syndicate. Syndicate is like a weird project of, we took all the things that didn't work and just said, hey, what if we tried doing something where there's no decision making and we just let people, good night, people. So what if we just made it so people were on even ground? There was no decision making. It was just a communications platform. Syndicate, that's what Syndicate is, and now it has 900 fucking people in it, right, or more. It's growing. It's always growing. It's amazing. Foxhole Community Media, I run that. I used to do a lot of graphic design, the projects I worked on. The From a Foxhole Twitter I started and then quit immediately afterwards. The dev branch testing that we do, the bug hunting, all these different projects. Because we love the community. We love Foxhole. We just don't like playing it. Or we don't like bashing our brains against it, which is why, like, BLD, for instance, is no longer a Foxhole only clan. It's a gaming community, because it's not healthy to play that one game for a long time. It's expected of veterans to come and go, it's already a known thing. And it's a healthy thing. It's a good thing for people to come and go from the game, as long as you have new players coming in, and we do have new players coming in. It's just the old guard is falling asleep. We're doing other things. I've transitioned to running BLD from the top down, even heavier than I was, instead of actively participating in every single thing of, like, Foxhole, for instance. It's a weird transition, but it was needed and necessary and healthy. Yes, Baslo, I have considered playing EVE Online, and I did boot up
he
EVE Online.
quit about 5 minutes into the tutorial and wouldn't go any further because the minimal content that the tutorial showed him did not excite him enough.
It was trash. I mean, okay. This is literally when I spent 2 days trying to figure out what kind of game I wanted to play, right? And then I ended up playing RuneScape, right? Uh, but even with
Also, a
those games,
disclaimer: as much as we love Foxhole, we can't stand playing it, so we don't play it. We don't enjoy playing games that we hate playing. So for him to play EVE Online doesn't work because he hates playing it, so he's just not going to.
yeah, I'm just not going to. It's. I mean, it's an easy thing, right? I don't want to play it, so I'm not going to. I'm not going to force myself to play it. Um, However, I do want to play Foxhole. Like I'm excited again, right? Like, and here's the thing.
What are
I
you
could
excited
spend
for?
2 hours, talking about the changes that I don't like about the game, and I don't know if Mark is ever going to listen to this entire thing, this entire rambling of ours. But now that I've been able to put it
Clip it
into
and send it
voice,
to him.
yeah, from the get go, I love Foxhole. I'm here for Foxhole. Foxhole Game is hosting us right now as I'm talking about this, which is cool. But it's a lot of discussion centered around logistics and the changes that have put a lot of veterans off. Um, yeah, that's a good way to put it, Grom. You get excited about Foxhole every other patch, right? But this patch is strange. It's a strange update, or not even some of it's not even coming in the next dev branch, right? But the simple things like being able to build, sandbag, walls. Such a simple thing, but it's exciting because I can see the big picture. Uh, the big picture is that it's going to give meaning to fobs. It's going to give more flexibility in building. You now have another defense that you can build that isn't paper. Until you slam into it with a truck, right? But it's a fucking sandbag. They basically took the sandbag, tripled it in height, and said, "Here you go." But it's going to allow for modularity. It's going to add identity to fobs, right? If you sit there and you do like the squad style of fob, the squad style fob where you have the halves, you have all the sandbag walls, you have frag grenade sandbags to break apart frags that come in. You have all these different styles that it's such a simple thing, and I could throw up the slides. Let's do fob.
I mean, you say that. You say that you're excited for it, but honestly, I see it as just being an additional time killer because, I mean, even in Squad, with how relatively small the maps and battles are compared to Foxhole, the fobs quickly become irrelevant. So I think that as much as the sandbag walls look cool to me and they look like a needed feature for the game for cheap cover, etc., I wouldn't spend time reinforcing a fob with them because it's just not going to be relevant in 20 minutes.
See, here's the thing
Well,
though.
not 20 minutes, more like 2 days, but
Yeah, well, yeah, in 2 days, but at the same time, when you add identity to something, it's a rallying point, right? Randoms see it, new players see it. People go, oh, hey, this is a place of action, right? Like when I built this fob on the dev branch and I spent a little bit of time doing it, like more time than I would have
it looks
normally,
terrible. How long did you spend on this?
an hour and a half. But I was also doing a lot of bullshit, like spawning stuff in and
Use
doing
a
things.
magic box for all of it, naturally.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I built this just as a proof of concept that this would be fucking amazing to see if I stumbled across this in game or something of this nature. And there's actually, I wish I had the screenshot handy.
I like how you're screwing your pillbox's own field of fire.
Ah, you say that you're shooting the field of fire, but remember, pillboxes are weak from the sides and the back.
Yeah, you're
If you
still
make it
screwing it.
only by
Just
like
a
a little
little bit
angle,
further forward and it'd
a
be
little bit,
fine.
yeah, further forward, yeah. But as a proof of concept, like it would be really cool to see that, right? Um, the idea is, there's the entrance there. I left an entrance big enough for a truck to get up there and dock, right? You have 360 coverage of fire. This is in tarsal pathway, right? So the majority of the defensive placement is facing the bridge, right? Natural choke point. But also, you have some flank cover in the back where the scrap field was. It basically, it adds identity to the fob, right? And that means people are going to see that and go, hey, I can bring defenses here. This will be a last stand point. But also, one of the minor things that's happening now is tunnel networks won't decay anymore, right? They in the Dev Ranch, they
kind of a moot point if everything around them decays, though.
Yeah, it is. It is. However, you're no longer relying on fobs to permanently power things, right? You have even more incentive to build a tunnel network. Now, of course, you have to use a fucking CV for it, and it costs 250 fucking materials. In my opinion, it should have been one or the other, right? Either you make it use a CV or make it use more materials, not both. But it's a rallying point. It adds identity. It gives me something else to do. I could sit there and play fucking SimCity once again. Sandbags are going to decay, or they're going to get ran over by some asshole in the truck, sure. But it adds identity. It gives me something to do that isn't driving in circles, slapping scrap notes for the next fucking forever. Or waiting on blueprints. Actually, counter that. I can do this while I wait on blueprints. It's cool. It adds, a little bit of something, right? Yeah. If you throw the tank traps, later on, you put tank traps in front of your sandbags. Shit, you just basically made a even better wall. Yeah. So I'm getting rejuvenated. I'm getting excited. I'm excited to see what's to come with logistics. Right, we're finally hitting the point where logistics is. Oh, our map placement. Yeah, just a couple stacked. That'd be cool. Actually, that would be cool. Like if you just take the pipes and you just kind of lay them on the ground, right? I actually want to see if we get modular, not modular, but shorter sections of tripwire, not tripwire, barbed wire. Would be nice to match the length of the sandbags and the shape, maybe. But overall, it's
you play Company of Heroes, right?
No.
Ah, darn. You can you basically, when you set up barbed wire, you drag it and it just adds additional sections.
Oh yeah. No, Mark was talking about in Dev Ranch when I was chatting with him. Like he said, it would be cool if there was a snap feature, right? Like snap building. I'm like, well, yeah, it's been asked for a long time. But yeah, no, like honestly, it's such a small thing for me to get excited about, but
Sandbag walls.
Huh? Sandbag walls, yeah. Yeah, like it's such a simple thing. I mean, I'm also excited for like the change for going to Vivox, right? The voice chat, which is such a simple thing, but now I can blast bagpipes at people from a distance as long as they're in my operation.
Yeah, but that's like getting excited from going from regular oil to synthetic oil.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's better, but
yeah,
are you really getting true gratification out of it? That's why I don't get excited over that shit.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But it's nice to see that logistics is going to be something being focused on, right? And I hope, even if they completely flip logistics on its head, it'll be different. And I'm hoping that even if the devs don't listen to this, but if they listen to this and they take to heart, the complaints and why I'm complaining about it, and they could disregard it if they have a bigger plan, honestly. These 2 hours could have been just like, oh, whatever. As long as they, make something happen. And that's what I'm excited about, is seeing something happen. I'll have a reason to come back to Foxhole as an additional main game, right? I won't have to rely on other games to be, satisfied momentarily, like RuneScape. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts, Scrapian?
Thoughts?
Thoughts?
Most of my complaints about the game are deeply ingrained in how it plays, and they're not going to get to a point that satisfies me without walking back all of the reworks they've done. So I honestly don't see that happening, which is why I'm burned out on Foxhole. I don't see a fix happening, because a fix would be to unapply major changes that they've done and figure out a different system. And I know someone earlier mentioned that a lot of it feels like placeholders, but it's been placeholders for so long that it's becoming the either de facto or de jure system. And eventually it gets to the point that that's just what we got to deal with, and I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's like, well, like the when you forced me to play Foxhole that one time, to force me to not do logistics, that really was fucking hard to do, right? I get so
I had to keep
irrationally
him away
angry.
from logistics because I knew that if he hadn't played the game in a while, so I knew that if he touched logistics, he would only get aggravated. If he even attempted to do anything logistical minded, he would get aggravated. And 5 seconds in, he looks in the inventory and he gets pissed at rifles, and his like natural instinct is to attempt to go make rifles. But you can't just go do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, let me just go shit out the things I need. Like I the first thing I see, oh, there's no rifles or no rifle ammo at this spot that you spawn in the game. Why are these not here? Like for me, I get rationally angry at some of that shit now because it's not an easy fix, right? I can't rely on my clan to walk in and go, hey, we can deal with this.
Yeah,
Because
Logi's inefficient and combat has to make do.
yeah, and that's basically what it was. Like we took that entire island basically on the basis of finding things.
Combat has to make do.
Yeah. How do you do Logi if you're not angry? I used to not be angry. I used to be a very calm individual.
Everything changed when Clapfoot attacked.
I mean, really, like Logi used to be the calming thing to do. It really did. It really did. Like the whole basis of logistics was being able to sit around and do very simple things with other people and listen to Will Smith as you do it.
Foxhole used to be a game that I could pour as much effort and time into as an RTS. It used to be a game that I could genuinely engage in and genuinely put forth enormous amounts of effort and produce enormous amounts of change in the game. Now it's just running with rifles.
Oof. RWR,
Honestly,
which we did play. We did play that.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not saying that it's like running with rifles is the game. I'm saying that it holds about as much playtime value to me.
Yeah.
It's a game to boot up, have some fun in, then close.
Yeah. Notice I said we did play it. We're no longer playing it. It didn't take us very long to stop playing it.
And I don't like that. It's unfortunate that one of the games that I like the most in a long time no longer holds that RTS-esque value to me. And it's not just because I have a super arbitrary desire in combat or logistics. It's genuinely because of how the game has changed and how it's not the game that I was able to pour hours into.
Yeah.
And
Um,
but in my arbitrary opinion, it is for the worse. It has changed for the worse.
yeah. I mean, it okay. So in my opinion, it has not changed for the worse because new players don't know what they're missing, right? For a new player to come in,
That's a fair point.
it doesn't matter, right? It's it's only changed for the veterans, right? It's not the game that we came in to play. And the sad part about it was that Foxhole doesn't like it gave an experience. Bruce already said this. It gives an experience that you could not get anywhere else. Period.
Mm-hmm.
There's no game that even comes close to Foxhole, right? There's a reason why there's such a huge community based around this game. The developers put some good goddamn work into it, and they continue to put some good goddamn work into it. And the community puts a whole lot of good goddamn work into it. Um, but like, it's not the game that I played for what uh, 50 hours in or 50 to 60 hours in the first week of ever playing, of ever setting foot in the game. And that used to be the norm, right? You would go on, you'd play for 12 hours straight. It was easy to do with logistics.
One of my first times playing the game, I joined a pug combat operation. Um, Back when pug still existed,
Oof.
and my first impression of combat in the game was they were all comparing how long they had gone without sleep and only doing voxel.
Yeah.
And I think Milady was running on 24 hours and she was holding the current longest. And it struck me right then and there that this is a game that I can spend all of my unnecessarily idle time playing and doing something tangible.
Yeah. Um.
Of course, that
Which
push failed because Pug sucks, LMAO.
I mean, Pug 1 sucked. Pug 2 is, well, I mean,
Go on. Ah.
yeah, it's hard, BLD has a really unique view, right? Because we didn't get caught up in the combat woes of the world, of the clans that fell. 42DR, for instance, was
Who's our
Remnant.
field commander?
Field commander, sociocracy, yeah. Um, no, they were the largest colonial clan for a while, right? It was 42DR, and it was 10 CCE for the two largest clans, colonial clans. UBG doesn't count, mind you. There's a bunch of Brazilians with a tag on that play on
Now
occasion.
that's racist.
No,
They actually don't count because they're an enormous community that plays other stuff.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what it is. Like, they don't play Foxhole as a main game, or they don't. They actually, sorry, I'll phrase that. They don't play Foxhole reliably, right? They had like a big force, and when they're online, goddamn, they're a fucking great force, right? Really fun guys to play with. But past that, it was 10 CCE and 42 DR, and you had some other clans like 75th and 12th and all those others, right? And then 10 CCE split to BLD. And BLD, some of my fondest memories is when we had like 15, 30 people at most, right? Like, we were never supposed to get this big. Ever. We were not supposed to survive this long. Ever. Of all the clans to not have fallen. Come on.
Why us? Why are we still here?
Why are we still
Just
here?
to suffer.
Yeah. we but that's because I don't know. Logistics at the time was like a relaxing thing. You know, you didn't have the stresses of and disagreements that you had on the front lines. You know, it was like-minded people. At the core, we are all the same individual. You know, like we could all slap scrap for hours on end.
Baslo, what I think needs to change to bring the game back to a engaging game is there needs to be more. I got to figure out how to word this exactly. There needs to be, first off, there needs to be a slight rollback on features that have made, for example, logistics too autonomous and not engaging. And there needs to be more features in areas where stuff, words,
Yeah.
like region locking, the decay, stuff to avoid what really causes
Burnout.
not burnout. There needs to be features that avoid the feeling of meaninglessness. Because when I built
Yeah.
if I fortify the fuck out of home region, it is all wasted time,
Yep.
guaranteed.
Yep. That's probably the
There
number one
need
thing. Yeah.
there needs to be features that avoid this, and there needs to be a rollback on features that have made Logi simply too timer blueprint grind. It's not even really grind because it's just like it's like Eve grinding. If you want to train a skill in Eve, you queue it and you wait 3 days. That's
So
not fun.
so I will I think I just put one more phrase into my mind. I'm starting to get hungry. One more phrase just came to mind. Logistics and building and all that fun stuff. I used to be grand, right? You used to be doing this on a grand scale. You used to, it was greatness. If you did it and you did it good, you achieved greatness. Whenever you're doing things in the solidarity that is the current system, it's mediocrity, right? You are just one mediocre, small individual that doesn't have any effect on the war as a whole, right? Um, and that goes to my ability to build a static defense that won't fall over because someone sneezed on it, right? Or for me to be able to log off and come back in a couple of days and have it still be there, even if someone hasn't touched it, right? I don't expect things to be there if someone comes up and actually destroys it, right? But I sure as shit expect things to be there if nothing has happened to it, right? I shouldn't have to, we shouldn't have 1 day swings in the war, right? The war swings too hard. It's too hard of a pendulum swing. And that's because of all these other things, right? You don't have logistics, in the same old manner. You don't have defenses that are truly persistent. Yeah, I mean, those are actually the top two things that could be brought back. And honestly, maybe some of the building changes like building on the beaches, but in a very basic way. That's it. That's it. No, I actually love One World. Okay. So here's the thing: you can have One World,
I enjoy
or
One
you can
World
have
too.
the current systems. You can't have both. I
The
would rather,
current systems make One World an unstable concept.
yeah, I would rather roll back some of the minor systems, and there truly are minor, right? There truly are in the grand scheme of things minor as far as gameplay. However, it affects the war, the way the war flows, right? Actually, the war doesn't flow right now. The war just kind of it's a teeter totter, right? It just goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, in a very lopsided manner. It's like if you took a fucking seesaw and you put it on a roller coaster that also spins at Mach 5, but also suddenly goes in reverse. That's the war. That's the flow of the war. You know, it's
I think I saw a video of a person falling off one of those ones.
a seesaw on a roller coaster going in reverse, or of a roller coaster. But like, yeah, that's a good point. It does that, and now we're the people falling off. Hey, Check that out. Metaphors. Um, but like, one world is the. I always said that one world, world conquest is the culmination of everything that Foxhole was meant to be. The lack of static defenses and the lack of teamwork in logistics is not what Foxhole was meant to be. And I'm saying that because from day one we had a very specific feel of the game, and that feel has gone away. And it was that Foxhole is a teamwork game of building, logistics, combat, all coming in together to really just have a complete war. Like, you take the experience of war and you put it into Foxhole, and it was all those things coming together to do that. If I had two requests, it would be to walk back maybe some of the reliance on timers, but really even simply just giving me the ability to sit in one spot and collect BMATs. Fuck, that'd be fine. Then I could take those BMATs and go actually build defenses. And actually, that's actually another good thought. It's because we don't build defenses anymore because they fall over in the first 30 seconds. We no longer have a need for the same throughput of BMATs that we needed, except those blueprint or those BMATs are now going to constantly replace, the defenses that got sneezed on and fell over. So really, one world is truly like what the game should be, but the other things they're incompatible with one world, right? It's incompatibility at the root. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else I could think of and say that's any different than that. Yeah. Honestly, that was one hell of a ramble. I'm hungry. 2-hour long ramble is not bad. That's honestly about what I was expecting us to do. Actually, I thought it was going to be about an hour, but hour 47 minutes so far.
Mm-hmm.
I asked you any final thoughts like 20 minutes ago, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, now that you ask.
Yeah. Any truly? No. You done? Are you hungry? I'm hungry.
I've been eating this whole time.
I know you have been, and it makes me hungry. I think I'm gonna go get toast. Nay. I'm going to.
Let's play a game.
Let's play Foxhole.
Let's play Foxhole.
I have to go to the store and get something to drink because I'm thirsty and I need caffeine because my 2-hour nap became a 3-hour nap, and then I talked for 3 hours on top of it. So, how many viewers? It says I have 20 viewers still. I don't think that's true. Holy shit! One Yankee Rebel. My dad's here. Cool. I actually don't know if anyone else is truly listening to.
People just like your voice. They just leave you in the background.
Pristine Chaos was here. Thank you, Pristine, for tuning in. If you are truly listening, KFC, if you're still listening, Grom, good to see you around. All of you guys, Tao Zeph is no longer in here. Bazo, cool guy in the chat. It's been fun. Yeah. No, I mean I like these rambles. It's been a long time trying to figure out how to put these rambles into words. And
let me answer this one last question that you had. In my opinion, I think decay should be a thing, but only in actively contested regions.
Yeah, there's no attrition in your home region, right? There's no true decay. Decay should be a thing, but maybe a little bit slow down. Actually, I think they need to ramp up the health on defenses. Bring it back up maybe a good 20%, right?
Yeah, honestly, if I pack a bunch of fucking rifle magazines into my damn pocket and I can go bunker busting with that, that's a little weird.
bunker busting, but pistols doing bunker busting is rough, right? Um, yeah, exactly. Um, no, I think, I mean, decay isn't as bad because like it's still okay. Yeah, it shouldn't decay if there's no one in that fucking region or if that region's not contested, right? Um, but
Well, I
like,
wouldn't say no one in that region. I think that decay should only happen when the region is actively contested, as in wardens are actively attacking a town.
a town or a defense, like a main defensive area, yeah, or
And I know
fog,
they can
yeah,
track this because the war correspondent tells me all the damn time wardens are attacking.
yeah,
But
yeah,
because
yeah.
for the purpose of uh,
But
sending tens of thousands of BMAS to an arbitrary region to bunker it the fuck up in preparation for a push.
just to have it fall over, yeah. But no, yeah, you guys got me going again. Yeah, no, decay is only an issue because the wars last longer than you used to, and it's easier for something that used to have 100 health to decay if it only has 50 health, right? Defenses are weak; they fall over. Decay should also not be like a certain percentage per hour or per in-game day, right?
I never
It should
understood why
ramp
they
up
added light pillboxes and shit. I never understood why they added this.
because tech tree LMAO.
Then
Honestly, those were only added because the wars were going too long and they needed some way to justify timers. I mean, it really is. I'm okay with having light stuff, but you know, honestly, I would actually be okay if the tier 1 stuff decayed at a faster rate than the tier 2 stuff did, but like on paper, right? And it shouldn't be it should maybe be like a parabolic rate, right? Like have a parabolic curve to the rate that it decays instead of like it shouldn't just go like, percent. It should go whatever sound that was to actually convey what the motion that my hand was doing.
yeah, I don't even. I'm not understanding. I get what you mean by parabolic. I think you mean speeding up towards the end.
No, I actually think it should speed up towards the middle and come back down to a slow rate once again.
Okay.
But
But yeah, that sound would that didn't convey anything intelligible. Then again, you rarely convey anything intelligent, so.
fuck, it's so hard. It's so hard. I'm gonna go get some.
Actually, I'm pretty sure the first time you answered my phone call, you just fell asleep. The moment
Dude,
you answered the phone
you said
call.
I answered your phone call.
You
I
did.
never
You said
answered.
something, and then no, you said something, and then you stopped responding immediately.
What did I say?
I don't know. I asked you to repeat it, and you were just gone.
I'm gonna go look at my phone history. You actually did call me twice.
Yeah.
And I actually did answer him. I didn't have a missed call from you. Motherfucker, I was asleep when I answered you. First time.
You said something, and then you were just gone.
Oh, you called. Oh, so you called me, and 30 minutes later you called again, as I'm supposed to be streaming. Nice. That's what I get for staying up all night and working.
I wanted to let you sleep.
That's kind of you, to let me sleep almost through the stream.
Yeah. Then I can run it myself and impose martial law upon others.
Mate, you don't even have a
podcast
stream
members' opinions.
key.
Yeah, but I can still impose martial law upon other podcast members' opinions. I can make the stranger stop talking.
Ah.
That was noise.
Yeah, that's a yawn and a stretch. Nice. Okay. Well, cool. It's been an additional 7 minutes since I once again asked you for final thoughts.
Would you like my final thoughts again?
Yeah, please. What
Well,
are you eating?
see,
What are you eating? What are you eating?
I was eating Chick-fil-A, but I'm about done with it right now. I'm lining my
You're
trash
eating
can.
Chick-fil-A. That's fucking.
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A's overrated.
It's good.
Chick-fil-A. is overrated.
Maybe you only think it's
Raising
overrated because
Cane's is
it's
overrated.
shit there, like everything else in Minnesota.
What? Excuse me.
You can't even make roads right, LMAO.
What? No, we make roads perfect.
Okay, Mr.
At least we have
DOT.
somewhere for our roads to go.
Yeah, all our roads lead to Vegas. We have somewhere to go.
Yeah, but what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Therefore, you never have to leave.
Exactly, I've never left.
Your roads only go one way. You only have one-way streets going in. In fact, you don't have round-trip tickets to Vegas. Actually, that's not true. There was a deal that popped up on my phone for $142 round-trip flights, nonstop. I think it was Delta, actually. I almost like said, "Hey, fuck it, I'm gonna go to Vegas." Um,
Honestly, I don't know what to do here as a tourist because I've only ever been a resident of Henderson, so I don't know what there is to do as a tourist.
what do you mean? Just fucking Google it.
Wait, yeah, but like I don't want to gamble, and it's fucking expensive to go
But
in the stratosphere,
but
and I'm not gonna pay a shit ton of money to swing a club at a ball on top of a
but
building. I don't give a fuck.
but see, here's the thing, right? Like the way that Vegas works is people go there with the expectation to spend money at casinos, right? And then they get cheaper meals, like comped meals and comped hotel rooms, right? Like you can get
Uh-huh.
fucking cheap hotels there. Like
Mm-hmm.
holy shit! But that's because they have the expectation of you fucking losing money at the casino, right?
Yep.
It's an entertainment industry, not a hospitality industry like most
Mm-hmm.
tourism. Um, so like $142 round trip flight would have been fucking nothing. I could have gone on vacation for like $400 and just not cared really. Um,
Nah, I'd go to Battlefield Vegas. That's where I go.
Go what?
Battlefield Vegas.
Battlefield Vegas.
Yep.
Battlefield
It's a
Vegas.
shooting range. They specialize in automatic weaponry.
Oh,
They have a couple hundred different guns. World War One, World War Two, modern, whole ton of shit.
gotcha. So it's just a ramped up place for people to get their shoot on.
Yep, it is a fucking Second Amendment and/or history buff's wet dream.
Neat. Yeah, but see, you go there and you spend $400 on just the fucking ammunition you're throwing down range.
No, you buy the package.
What? Okay, I'm gonna go back to the Battlefield Vegas website
They have
and
like
look this up.
packages for
Packages.
machine gun
Okay,
rentals.
packages. It's called packages. The video game inspired packages. They have screenshots of video games, like very poorly animated, global history inspired World War II, Cold War, minigun experience. Fuck me, I'm gonna click that button. Um, $200 gets you 100 rounds that you can throw down range in 30 seconds.
They say in 30
Oh, sorry.
seconds.
Okay, so sorry. 4,000 rounds a minute, right? 4,000 rounds a minute, right? And you're
Uh-huh.
throwing. You have 100 rounds. That's point
It's
zero
like
two five of 60. That's 0.025 times 60. That's 1.5 seconds of firing on a
correct.
minigun for $200.
Correct. People
That's
don't know
that's
what they're
losing your
buying.
that's losing your that's losing your money that you could have lost at the casino, except all in one go. That's like walking up to a blackjack table
Uh-huh.
and putting $200 down as your first bet and just being done with it. Except at
Yep.
least then it would have taken more than 1.5 seconds for the dealer to deal the fucking cards. 100 rounds,
Yep.
$200. That's
Yep.
that's $2 per round.
Yep.
Meanwhile, for $2,500, I can crush a car from Abrams.
Well, you don't get to drive the Abrams. You just ride on
My experience is ruined.
it. Why would he let you drive the tank?
Well, why the fuck not?
Liability issues for
Excuse
one.
me. if Arnold Schwarzenegger can own fucking tanks, I'm gonna own a tank, right?
You
Honestly,
can
tanks
own a
aren't that
tank.
expensive. You can own a tank for fucking cheaper than you could buy. You could buy like 2 or 3 tanks for the price you can get a Tesla.
There actually is a fully restored M4A3 HVSS Sherman, the Fury model. Um, it's 800 grand.
The D-Day experience, $130, which gets you a 1911 with 15 rounds, an M1 Garand with 24 rounds, and a Thompson with 50 rounds for $130. This is the worst goddamn fucking.
It's a
thing.
tourist trap.
It is a tourist trap. It's a fucking tourist trap. I could take that $130 and I could multiply that by like 5 and go buy those guns. You know, like
It helps them expand their inventory by getting people to waste money so much.
yeah, honestly. Okay, well, I was just continuously ramming so I can finally hit the 2 hour mark, and now we're at 2 hours and 57 seconds. So cool. I'm done. I'm gonna go get something to drink and something to eat.
What game shall we play?
How about a game of
The viewers
nuclear
have to know
warfare?
what game we decide on.
Huh?
The viewers have to know what game we eventually decide on.
Do they have to know?
They must know.
All right, but I mean, I don't know if they want to.
I mean, technically, yes, Isdar. You can get Tank Ride, and then also the shotgun.
Come play Foxy. You guys need to learn to enjoy a loss. I can enjoy a loss by not playing.
It's not the loss. Frankly, I don't give a single flying fuck at any point, anytime, anywhere, in any instance I've ever played Foxhole. I have never cared whether or not the game was won or lost by Colonials or Wardens.
Yeah,
I
honestly.
never, ever, not once, not
as long as you
even
had
when it was
fun.
individual maps.
As long as you had fun.
I cared about an engaging experience, and I don't have that anymore, so I don't enjoy the game.
Yeah, wins or losses. Yeah, that's a good point.
Solitaire.
Solitaire. Not yeah. What game was it that I wanted to play or stream? Oh, you know that game that we played the other night.
What game?
Alien Swarm Reactive Drop. That's what it's called.
Do you want to play that?
Yeah, maybe.
It scales, so with only 2 players, we could beat it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll go to the store and.
I could put it on easy with Onslaught, and we could just gun down enormous hordes.
Yeah, amazing. Tomorrow though, I'm going to play Foxhole. Yeah, we've got a BLD op planned for tomorrow.
What's the op?
I don't know.
Let's discuss it on stream.
Let's discuss it on stream. I think we're going to play the game, LMAO.
Operation Play the Game. I'm in.
Operation Play the Game, as opposed to Operation Aphian's Beard.
Stupid fucking title. Was that op even successful in any way, shape, or form?
I didn't go to it.
Excuse me, BLD clan leader.
I know people did go to it, and it lasted 3 or 4 hours. And then, as soon as it ended, people complained that there wasn't anyone online. It's like, well, they were. Okay. Bye, guys. Ta-ta. Ta-ta. Look, I'll even do the thanks
Pleasure
for watching.
Meeting all of you.
Thanks for watching with the looped audio in the background. Like
Thanks
professional.
Thanks.
Stay boxing. Stay boxing.
Nah, but this was my first community stream. Yeah.